This topic is for pastors and preachers who are using the Pursue God tools. We're going to talk about how to preach a 15-minute sermon. Now, don't panic, but this is actually something that you can do using the resources at pursuegod.org, and there's some benefits to preaching 15-minute sermons. So let's get into that. Let's start with our three basic principles for preaching Pursue God sermons. Number one, teach the word. Remember, we're trying to teach God's word, a biblical perspective with a focus on Jesus. The second thing is to engage everyone in the crowd, believers, non-believers, young and old. And the third value, the third goal of Pursue God preaching is to empower conversations. And remember, this is our hallmark. We're trying to send people out, not just with a sermon that they heard for 30 minutes, but send them out to talk about it with their group, their family, or their mentor. So let's talk about preaching a 15-minute sermon then with this in mind. Here's how we would break that down. Number one, you'd set up the sermon. So this would be about a 5-minute sermon intro to set up the topic, to sort of hook the audience, hook the crowd, get them really ready to hear and to listen. And then the second thing then is to play the conversation video that goes with the sermon. What we're talking about is not the actual small group video for that specific sermon, but we're talking about probably the first video, related video in the link that grabs the audience, that draws them into the topic, and that will give them, something else to talk about. Then the result then is the third thing is you can preach a shorter sermon. If you're using a 5 or 10 minute video, then your sermon itself can be shorter. And here's the benefit to that. Number one, it's easier for new teachers, for lay teachers. A 15-minute sermon is a lot easier to preach than a 30-minute sermon. So it's a great way to get more lay people involved. And number two, it empowers more conversations, because think about it. Now people have the actual sermon conversation to have, or that additional related content conversation video from step 2 above. They've got that to go home and talk about. And now you've equipped them to talk about even more. You've inspired them to talk about even more. Now, again, this method doesn't work for every single sermon in our library, but there are a lot of sermons that are perfect for this. Pick that related topic, show it as part of the sermon itself, and you're off to the races. You're getting them connected to the tools. You're inspiring and empowering more conversations. And that, after all, is the goal of great preaching.